Hey everyone, Charles here, and first of all, thank you for stopping by my podcast. If this show inspires you, makes you think, or gives you that courage to jump into action, please help by donating to this show. Click the link in the description and donate. Your donation helps us with production and finding great guests moving forward. Thank you and enjoy.
Amazon is offering sign-on bonuses up to $1,000, plus get up to $20 an hour for select roles. The best part? We're hiring near you. So start now to take home something greater. New, higher wages with a sign-on bonus, a range of real benefits, and career growth opportunities in a top-rated workplace. So earn more and see how great pay and sign-on bonuses can lead to a greater life for you. Go to amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
The Johnson Leadership Group. Passionate about training, coaching, equipping, and mentoring and current and the next generation of leaders. Do you have what it takes to be a leader? Well, if you need to know, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
You know you should be doing something different, right? Hey, I'm talking to you. Do you believe that you have the gift for greatness or have a special talent, but don't have the courage to take that next step? Always wondering how others made it look so easy? Well, welcome to Jump, the show that will bring you special guests just like you and me. How did they get the courage to jump into greatness? Doing what they love and living the good life. So, get ready to jump with your host, Charles Matthews Jr.
Hey Jump fans, how you doing? It's me once again, Charles Matthews, and welcome to the Jump Podcast. If this is your first time, you know already. It's a show to help people to get to next level. I bring interesting guests for you to listen and get inspired. And my next guest, he wants to do the same thing. He wants to take the next generation and turn them into great leaders. So without further ado, I'm so glad that he had the time to come over. Mr. Kevin Johnson. Kevin, are you there?
I am here, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to be on your great show. I'm so proud of you and the great work that you're doing. And your patience that you exhibited and getting me to get past the technology and onto the podcast. So I thank you so much.
Listen, I would have waited an hour or two just to get you on. I like what you're doing. I like your profile, and I just want to get to know you because my fans will always know that I always bring interesting guests to maybe help them out. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am the native of Richmond, Virginia. I attended high school there, Armstrong High School, and then I matriculated to pursue my undergraduate studies also in Richmond, Virginia at Virginia Commonwealth University, and have been very actively engaged and involved in everything that they're doing as an alumni, myself and my wife. I'm the proud father of 3 sons, ages 21, 22, and 23. And I have been married to the former Gail Marie Coles for now 27 years. And we're enjoying our marriage and enjoying the family and enjoying life in general. I am a fairly recent retiree of the federal government. I've served there for a total of 34 years and a number of different capacities. And I would say for 20 of those 34 years, I served at the mid-level and the senior level within the Department of Defense and the Department of Treasury. It was a wonderful career. I ended, my last 3 years was as Chief of Staff, a very, very insightful type of job and position. And I had some really great mentors and sponsors and champions in my life to help me to get to the next level. And so now I'm really, really focusing on really taking the time to prepare, equip, train, coach, and mentor the current and next generation of leaders based upon a plethora of experience that I have developed and I have gained over my 34 years. It's a really, really good space. I enjoy doing it and helping individuals and organizations prepare their front level, mid-level, and senior level leaders to be great leaders. Because when it's all said and done, I think we're all here to make the world a better place, and this is one of many different ways that we can do that.
All right. So then you're talking about being leaders, and you said you're in the military, right?
No, civilian.
Oh,
civilian.
You're civilian now. Were you in the military?
No, Dad was a U.S. Marine, but I have always been civilian.
All right. So knowing a father that's been there, he must have had like the strict rules.
Well, he was a disciplinarian, and the men and women that serve in the U.S. Armed Forces around the globe they definitely are disciplinarians. There's a code of conduct in which they pretty much adhere to the chain of command, and they accept and receive orders, and that's pretty much how he ran his household. So we fell in line and did the right thing to keep ourselves out of trouble, and now I'm grown up and I do the same with my children, and hopefully they'll do the same with their children as well.
Yeah, and it's funny, now that you're older and you had kids, do you think back when you're younger and go, man, I thought that was rough? Maybe it wasn't that rough after all.
Oh yeah, all the time. Especially my boys, because they were all back to back to back. So they're 21, 22, and 23. So there was a time where the oldest was 2, the middle son was 1, and the baby boy was a newborn. So we've been dealing with that for all of their lives.
So you had your own army.
Yep, you got it.
So why did you want to do leaders and how did and the leadership? Because I read your profile and you're training and you do coaching and with mentoring and for the next generation, and why the next generation?
Well, I believe that if you take a look at the current generation of folks that are entrusted to lead with that awesome responsibility that they have, as well as the next generation coming up behind them, they're part of a generation that has fewer people. So I'm part of the baby boom generation, and there were a number of us that left the workplace at the same time, either through retirement or through resignation. And so we've had millions of people to leave the workforce over the past 3 to 4 or 5 years, sort of at the same time, and we left behind people who we didn't necessarily have an opportunity to fully equip and train to take over the awesome responsibility that they have. So I just feel compelled to be available, my team and I, to reach back and give them the assistance and all the tools that they need, the strategies and principles to lead people and manage things. One of the things that I've learned over a good deal of time is many of us don't distinguish between what it means to manage and what it means to lead. And what's interesting about this whole dynamics of leadership is that you and I manage things, we manage tasks, we manage actions, we manage processes, but we lead people. And there's a difference. So the people that we lead are the ones that we are entrusted to manage the things. But if we get caught up in trying to manage people, oftentimes we get tripped up and we kind of scratch our heads and wonder what happened. And people don't know this innately. It has to be taught. So that's part of what I do, and I love it. I'm in my lane. This is my space. This is something that I would do for free. Sometimes I do it for free. I just happen to get paid. And whether it's across the federal government, state government, corporations, nonprofits, and even churches, because I have a ministry background as well, there's just a great need. And I think as we move forward in time, more and more individuals and organizations and companies are recognizing the need, and we avail ourselves to come in and provide the help that's needed. So we're focusing on key principles and key strategies to help people to better understand what it means to lead people. And as a result of that, we see more positivity, we see more engagement, more inspiration, more motivation, we see better organizations, and ultimately it makes the world a much better place. And that's what I stand by, and that's what I teach.
So then the part of you, I heard that you said you have the ministry as well. So
Correct.
Combined with the ministry and combining with this, the reason I call this jump, what gave you the inspiration and why did you take the chance to jump into this? You could have done anything else.
Right.
Many people are like, well, why would you want to do that? And how are you going to do it? And you're going to be in front of 1 to thousands of people. Weren't you afraid to take this chance and say, well, something, I'm going to jump into this? Why?
I think the primary reason is because it's something that I've been doing and have been engaged with for quite a while. I moved up relatively quickly in my secular job, my position with the federal government. I came in 1 year out of college as an intern. And at that particular time, the internship program that I was in provided an automatic promotion every 12 months up to a certain level, as long as I performed in a manner in which they expected me to perform. So I came in as a grade 5. 12 months later, I was a grade 7. 12 months later, a grade 9. 12 months later, a grade 11. And then 12 months later, a grade 12. And it wasn't until that time that I had to start to compete to move up the chain. And all along the way, I was being taught about leadership principles as a part of my training and being an intern. Conversely, on the ministry side, I've been actively involved in ministry now for 20 years in a lot of different areas. But my wife and I entered into the ministry together as deacons, and I was entrusted to be the leader of the deacon ministry. I've also served as an adjunct professor at a number of different Bible colleges, and a facilitator and a teacher and a trainer is in essence a leader before the students, walking them through key principles and strategies and techniques. And then I moved on to become an associate pastor, leading people in leading ministries, and then ultimately a senior pastor with responsibilities for the entire congregation. And then above and beyond that, I do work at the national level and at the international level as a part of our denomination and ministry, making a difference as a coach and as a teacher and as a trainer. So it's just part of my DNA. It's kind of who I am at the core. Quite frankly, going all the way back to when I was a little boy in my home, taking care of my younger brother, who was born with a mental disability, and continuing on after I was married as the father of a young son who has autism, and having to be the leader to deal with the school administration, the teachers, the community, the neighbors, etc. So it's really something that's ingrained in me, and it's core to who I am. So it was a very natural progression, and I've always been very observant in terms of what's going on around me and where better leadership is needed. So that's a long-winded answer, but that's sort of that's the answer there.
So let me ask you this then. Hearing your story about your brother, hearing your story about your son, do you think you're ingrained and blessed and pushed to be this person you are right now?
I would say yes to all of the above, not necessarily pushed. I would say I have accepted the challenge to serve that has been a part of who I am. So it started when I was 4 years old, when my younger brother was born, and then it continued on into my adult life when my baby boy was born. I've always had a passion and a compassion for people, and I found out in my latter years that a lot of that is tied into my desire to be a catalyst for change in terms of leadership styles, leadership development, et cetera. So it's a sort of a perfect complement. It's also taught me how to be a better servant as I serve the needs of people in the different venues that I am in. And it's all kind of sort of related to what I do. And it comes quite naturally to me, as a matter of fact, when I speak before people, when I'm doing executive coaching or professional coaching, and anytime I'm doing any type of leadership training in any venue with any audience, it comes across very naturally because, again, it's in my DNA and it's core to who I am.
So let me ask you this. Is there a difference between a leader in the church and a leader in the corporate world? Now, when you're a leader in the church, you know, the people follow you for inspiration. They follow you for wisdom. They follow you for certain things. Do you feel the pressure is different, or is it the same? Like, talk to me. How does it work out?
Well, for the most part, it's the same, but it does differ based upon venue and audience. So one thing that I share with leaders, people who are in leadership positions, is part of understanding the audience that we're serving would really dictate the leadership style that we bring. So you're spot on. For example, in the church. When we lead in the church, it's definitely more of a servant model, because people that come to church are looking for a different desired outcome as a person that's going to a corporate job with a Fortune 500 company. We can still serve them as leaders, but it would be much different because the mission, vision, and core values differ depending on the venue. And the audience is looking to get a slightly different outcome out of their existence or out of their presence for being there. So it's a twofold response. Response number one would be the leadership principles and strategy would differ to make sure that we're in alignment with the venue and the audience. That's the first thing. And then the second thing would be understanding the mission, vision, and core values of that particular organization where those people are. And then our leadership style would complement that particular venue or audience. So if I'm giving a presentation or some training or teaching to ministry leaders, it would be more geared along the scriptures, and it would mirror what the Lord has instructed us to do and helping people to understand the leadership style they should bring. If I'm in a corporate setting, and we know that in a corporate setting, that company has to produce positive quarterly earning statements in order for that CEO to remain gainfully employed, then I'm going to help that particular audience to understand, as leaders, how can we continue to drive the revenue for the company, but at the same time, showing value and care for the people that we hired to get the work done. So the style of leadership would vary based upon the audience, but the overall ability and desire to lead them would pretty much be consistent, and that is to make them feel and help them to be all that they were created to be.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want you to help us out. I want you to give us some key points on how to become strong leaders. Now, for me, and correct me if I'm wrong after the break, there's strong leaders when it comes to your household, and there's strong leaders when it comes to the business world, and there could be strong leaders when it comes to a project. I want to know if it's all the same, or can you give us a point that will help in each different ways? We'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey, Paula.
Hello, Cam.
What's wrong?
Planning for this wedding is stressing me out. I don't know where to start or if I'm getting the best deals. I need help.
Well, when I got married, I used CMJ Entertainment. We sat down and went over all the details, and they showed me little tricks that saved me a lot of money.
I don't have time to go around and find everything I need.
Don't worry. CMJ Entertainment is a one-stop shop. They have it all. Give them a call at 416-414-8964. That's 416-414-8964. Or talk to them online at cmjentertainment.com.
Thanks, I feel better already.
Hey, it's okay if you're driving or too busy to take notes. Charles has your parachute packed with all the info you need to jump into success. Check out the links section for all the tools you need to land safe. Now, let's keep falling with Charles and his special guest.
Yes, we're back with our guest, Kevin Johnson, and he helps with leadership. He helps bring in our next generation. He wants to help our next generation become the strong men and women that they can be. So before we went to our break, I was asking him if he can give us some tips on how to be a leader in the household, the business world, and on projects. And I want to know, is it all the same or is it a little different? So Kevin, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, it's actually both, but here's what I want to focus on as it relates to leaders and being consistent in our approach, regardless of who we have been entrusted to lead. I have been taught by my senior mentor, John Maxwell, that leadership really comes down to our ability to influence people to perform, to participate, to get involved, to get engaged, influencing them. And our influence will be either positive or negative. There's very little wiggle room in between. And oftentimes what I help people to remember is when it comes to influence, there's a couple of key attributes and characteristics that we bring to the table as a part of our leadership, and it's consistent across all the different venues. So it doesn't really matter what you do for a living, whether you work in a restaurant, or you change oil at the Jiffy Lube, or you're that person behind the Popeyes counter that's making that Popeyes sandwich that everybody's going crazy about.
And that's some good sandwich I've been hearing, man.
Yeah, I went out to lunch the other day in one of the malls in the Washington, D.C. area. And during the lunch hour, the line was about 75 deep, just
No,
waiting,
man,
waiting to get their hands on that sandwich. I'm like, this thing must be good.
I know we're going off topic a little bit, but I don't understand about this chicken. Is that what you call leading people to the chicken, or like, I don't know, man.
No, that's marketing. That's all that is. That's just marketing. People are just curious. They're in line because they're curious. But to get back to your question, here are a couple of things I want the listening audience to think about in terms of our consistency with influencing people. Number one is integrity, right? If we keep and maintain and sustain our integrity as leaders, we will be successful in influencing people to participate, to get engaged, to contribute, and to be involved. That's very, very important. The next one is nurture. Giving people an environment and an atmosphere that's conducive for their development and for their growth, and for them to accept these challenging assignments, knowing that we will give them top cover when they ask questions. Very, very important. The next one is faith. Faith in terms of having faith in people, demonstrating to them that we trust that they have what it takes to get the job done, whatever it is. Give them some direction, give them some guidance, and then stepping back and letting them perform and do exactly what we hired them to do. Very, very important. Another thing that I want people to really get engaged and get close with is understanding people. What makes people tick? What do they like? What do they dislike? What are some of those skills and abilities and knowledge that they have to be a great contributor to the team? In order to figure that out, we have to understand them. So these are just some very basic, and there's many, many more as well, but these are some basic core principles and strategies that leaders can apply to just about any audience, any person, any venue, with consistency in order to get them to be effective at what we hired them to do.
So then let me ask you, what three tools that a good leader should have? And I'm gonna break down some things, like old President Obama. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like when he spoke, it's like he could be traveling to the moon and people would just follow him.
Yep. Absolutely.
He just had that presence of speaking. Okay. Yeah. Then you have other people that are not great speakers, but they're just like, they're hype, they're enthusiastic, they're running across the stage and they're just screaming and everybody's like, man, this guy's great. Oh man, I love his energy, and they'll run out the door following him.
Absolutely.
And then you have some people that are calm, they just look at you, they speak, and because they're speaking so calm and everything, is like they put you in a trance. And then you're like, okay, yeah, sure, here, and then you just follow them. Like, right. What are these tools that you can enhance? Is it these tools that you just have, or how does it work?
Well, you said three in particular, so these are the first three that come to mind, and this is across the board. So if a leader presents himself or herself as being friendly, if a leader presents himself or herself as being approachable, and if a leader presents himself or herself as being confident, people will follow. Because when it's all said and done, if a person feels that they can approach you and that because you're friendly, and when you open your mouth and you project and you do it with confidence, those are three attributes that really attract followers. And if leaders would come to the table with those attributes, and there's others as well, then more than likely you're going to win over those people that you have been entrusted to lead, and it makes a big difference. What we find in this world in which we live is there are too many people that project that they're just not approachable. And if you project that, it becomes a reality to those under your leadership. And if you're not approachable, you're not going to be able to get the best out of your people.
So what do you mean approachable? Like you're too aggressive, or what is it?
Putting people in a position where they're comfortable to come and have a conversation with you about any number of things, whether it is to get clearer instructions on what we're asking them to do, or if they're dealing with a particular issue or problem or concern and they want somebody to come talk to about, all of the above. Because if I don't feel that I can approach you and have a conversation, then you are not going to be able to lead me effectively.
So it's all about, it's a how am I going to say this now? It's a three-parter. You have to be able to feel confident to talk to somebody. You have to have the confidence, but not overpowering, so they feel comfortable within your presence. Mm-hmm. And you have to be friendly and trustworthy for them to say, I will give you a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. More times than not, I mean, if we put ourselves in that scenario, we are much more likely to be comfortable under the leadership of someone who presents themselves as being friendly, as opposed to someone who just comes out and just lets it be known that they're just not a friendly person.
So then what is, you said part of your tag, if you look on LinkedIn, it says is passionate about training, coaching, equipping, and mentoring the current and next generation of leaders. Yep. So do you think that our next generation right now doesn't have the qualities of leading, or what is it?
No, actually they do have the qualities. What we want to do is help them to refine them and put them in motion such that they can be the best that they can be. And then ultimately the people with which they've been entrusted to lead will also be the best. Many, many people have the skills innately inside, but we have to be taught a number of strategies and principles in order to be the best that we can be. And ultimately, we want these leaders to now take the baton and be world changers and make this world a much better place.
Okay, so I got a second part question. What when you say the next generation, what age are you talking about right now?
Well, keep in mind now, we have 5 generations of people in the workplace right now. So we have people that are in their mid-70s that are still working. They're working for one or two reasons. Number one, they're working because they really enjoy what they do. And many of them are still working because they have to. There's a financial need. And so now you have my sons, 21, 22, and 23. My sons' age, post-college, are entering into the workforce. But you already have your Gen X's, and you already have your millennials, and you already have the tail end of the baby boomers that are already there as well. So when I say next generation, I'm referring to the millennials, the Gen X's, and soon to be the Gen Z's, those that are in their perhaps 40s, 30s, 20s, and then even the older teenagers. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be leading our world and our nation as we go into the future. So we're talking about that entire population of individuals, men and women.
Okay. And do you think that we are okay? Because I always see the older generation, when they look at the younger generation, always texting on their phones, their Instagram, dialing back and forth. They're not really being engaged into people right now. They're always on their phone. Do you think that's going to, help our leaders, or because they're young? Like I'll be honest with you, my son, when he's on that Game Boy or when he's on that tablet, the house could be exploding around him. He ain't moving unless.
Yeah. Well, one thing I always caution us on is and especially the older generation. I said that let's not take a broad brush and use it to paint an entire generation. We do have some of that. You can't deny it. When I go out to the mall and I just have a seat and I just people watch. Yeah, a lot of that is going on. But
Hold on, before you move on, out of 10, how many bump into each other?
9. Yep. And listen, and the only reason the 10th person got away is because they looked up just in time.
Oh my Lord.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
but you're right. We can't put a brush on everybody, but
Right, exactly.
it's funny how the technology is holding our youth, our next generation. And I feel that because if it wasn't for people like you to show them that, hey, you can speak without the phone.
Definitely.
You can be a leader without the phone. The phone is just a second part to lead. Once people know that you are a leader and then you put something out there, they're going to want to look at your tag and look at your post because you are that leader. They want to see what you're putting out.
No doubt about it. I absolutely agree. But I do share with people, be very careful about how we label the next generation because we don't want them to put up defense barriers. We want them to have a conversation and learn how to communicate effectively across the generation. So, it's a big challenge in terms of getting people to understand how to communicate better and how to listen better. And it's even more of a challenge when you have so many different generations in the workplace at the same time, when people process information differently and people communicate differently. So we have to be very careful and we have to do it together. And that, quite frankly, is what brings me the most joy. When I get a chance to get out and meet and greet with people and provide this level of training to individuals, to groups, and to organizations at large, there's always a wonderful and rich diversity of people in the room at the same time. And what I do is I spend a great deal of time reminding people to value the different perspectives that you're going to hear throughout this entire day or throughout this entire week, because the people that you lead also have a different perspective in terms of what you see and what they see. And the best leaders take the time to value and listen to those different perspectives. And that's oftentimes the differentiator between those that lead well and those that don't, because we have to hear people out, even if we disagree, give them the platform to communicate their views and their perspectives, even if we disagree, and then being mature enough to say, we can agree to disagree, and we can continue to still collaborate and cooperate as we move forward. And listen, these principles, they have to be taught. They're not innately ingrained in us as part of our human element. So, and then the last thing that we help people to understand, we actually speak at about 180 words a minute, but in terms of listening, we're actually listening anywhere between 350 to 400 words a minute. And so the simple things with communication break down because we're often way ahead in terms of our listening than what a person is saying. And when they articulate those first several words, if we're not in lockstep, then we've already kind of tuned them out, because we can listen with such greater aptitude than we can with which we speak. So
okay, hold on. So why didn't every married man know this ahead of time?
We're not taught. You don't get this in school.
So
you don't get this in school. It's just like listen. It's just like those that enter school and they have a desire to be a nurse or a physician. You would think that as a part of the curriculum, you would think that there would be some teaching on nutrition, right? But our doctors and nurses aren't taught as a part of their curriculum about nutrition. That's something that you have to take the initiative and be proactive to learn about in terms of taking care of our bodies. They don't get that. So you would think we would get some basic communication skills as a part of our schooling, but you don't. You have to go out and you have to pursue it. It has to be taught.
I can use that excuse now with my wife when she's talking to me, and I could say, but babe, I didn't, sorry, it's 300 and something words. We're talking two different. I didn't hear what you're
Well, try it at your own risk. Don't tell her that I had anything to do with it.
I'd be like, well, hon, Kevin said.
Kevin who? What's his number? How do I reach him?
Listen, my friend, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you on the Jump podcast. Now, listen, I have a lot of viewers that are listening right now. They're all online listening to you. How can they get a hold of you if they want one-on-one coaching to be the next leader and for training? Like some of them could be for business. Some of them could be for like a new project. Some of them could be just want the leadership to, they want to step up in their job. How can we get a hold of you?
Two ways. You can just feel free to just go to our website. So we're at www.thejohnsonleadershipgroup.com, thejohnsonleadershipgroup.com, and all of our contact information is there. Or by email, thejohnsonleadershipgroup@gmail.com, thejohnsonleadershipgroup@gmail.com. We'll be very, very responsive. We get back to people within 48 hours, and I would be more than available to serve and to answer any questions that anyone has. Of course, we travel across the country. We travel internationally as well to meet the needs of individuals, groups, and organizations. So anything at all that I can do and my company can do to help, just let us know, and we will avail ourselves.
All right. Before I let you go, I just want to ask one last question. When you leave this earth, my friend, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy really to be three things. Number one, Kevin was a good husband. Number two, Kevin was a good father. And number three, Kevin was a good person, right? I want people to say, even in those moments where I may not have gotten it right the first time, I want people to say, Kevin was a good person.
Wow. Well, my friend, don't know about the husband part, don't know about the father part, but as a great friend, what I've known from you, you got that part checked off, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the Jump Podcast show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please write a comment and take a look at Kevin's profile. It will be in the description later on. And listen, if you listen to what he says, we all have leaders in them.
If you liked the show or have a comment, we would love to hear from you. Join our mailing list. And as always, check out our special deals links below. I hope this has inspired you to look at your life and jump. See you next week.
Hey, if you like listening to my podcast, it's all because of my new sponsor, Alitu. Alitu is a great program to help edit your podcast. Do you get frustrated with editing, putting in the sound bites, putting in commercials? Well, Alitu does it all for you. What used to take me an hour only takes me 5 minutes now with Alitu. It's simple, it's easy. And what they've done for me is give me a great code that I can give to you, my listeners, and other podcasters. Go to Alitu, sign up for free, and add the keyword JUMP. That's JUMP in the code and get a discount from me to you. Thank you to Alitu.
Circle K is America's thirst stop. And yours, especially when the weather gets... and you need to stay refreshed on the go with ice-cold Circle K favorites like freshly ground iced coffee, Froster, Polar Pop Cup, and more. And right now at Circle K, score with 28-ounce Gatorade. Any flavor, 3 for $5. When life's go, 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 make us your first stop. Because Circle K is America's thirst stop.
Amazon is offering sign-on bonuses up to $1,000. Plus, get up to $20 an hour for select roles. The best part? We're hiring near you. So start now to take home something greater. New, higher wages with a sign-on bonus, a range of real benefits, and career growth opportunities in a top-rated workplace. So earn more. and see how great pay and sign-on bonuses can lead to a greater life for you. Go to amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, hope you had a great time listening to the show. If you think I did a great job, please buy me a coffee. I still got a lot of work to do. We would love to hear from you, your feedback, so please click the link and leave us a review. You can help us grow by following us on all social media platforms and sharing this link. Once again, it's time for you to jump. Success is waiting.